So I decided I kind of wanted to do a new series kind of thing on this channel and I'm going to point out, first of all, I'm not wearing a hoodie and I'm not wearing a hat. Or I'm not wearing a cap. I usually do that. But today I didn't feel like putting my hoodie on and I had a beanie on the bed. And I've never worn a beanie in a video because I don't really wear beanies very often, but I had it on the bed. So I'm just going to wear it for this video. Also, NF wears beanies really frequently, so it fits the theme of the video. More what I wanted to do in this video and in general this series that I kind of want to start doing is I want to make videos. So if you guys remember, I did a series a while back where it was basically what's this artist's best album. And generally the whole idea of the series was I would take an artist and I would just go through all their albums and at the end determine what their best album was. And I only did it twice. I did it with Eminem and Kanye West. But I more or less did that as an introduction to my channel because nobody had really seen me do rap content at that time. But I decided I wanted to bring that series back, but on the same way. Because when I'm going through artist discographies, I rank them on the podcast, which I'm going to point this out. I'm going to back up actually a bit for the camera. I'm going to point this out. Podcast will return. I'm going on a vacation over break, so I don't do much videos over vacation. After vacation, though, I'll review Justice by Justin Bieber and Plugs I Meant To. I'm excited for both of them. They're coming out while I'm on vacation. But anyway, what I was going to say is what I want to do with this series is I want to do that thing where I go through an artist's discography and go through all their albums. But I want to focus on one type of artist, generally considered bad artists. Artists that aren't liked. Not if I think they're bad, but artists that are generally considered bad. And I don't know if I really want to do this on artists that have had just terrible albums lined up. Or just had I don't want to do this on Playboi Carti. Because I don't feel like it's going to be that interesting to talk about Dialect. Because truthfully, there's very little interesting about Dialect. Even though it's loved by fans for some reason, there's nothing interesting about Dialect in my opinion. It's just a terrible album. But I think I am going to, yes, I will point out the irony. Or just the general consensus of me sitting here saying Dialect sucks. And you look behind me, you can see Kendrick, Nas, Dre, Tupac, Wu-Tang. I switched Dre and Tupac, by the way. Nobody will notice that, but I switched them because the hook for Tupac just broke and it couldn't hold it. And I didn't know what else to do. I might actually put Wu-Tang there because it's a one vinyl, it's one disc. So, and yes, I'm going to get more in the mail. I ordered Kids See Ghosts, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Ready to Die back in December, and they still never came in. But anyway, this is about NF. It's not about this wall. I want to do this series where I go through all their albums, but they're going to be bad artists. So I might do one on Chance the Rapper, though somebody I thought would be interesting. I'll be going through his mixtapes, too, not just Big Day, because that's only the album. And I might do this on some of the artists, because I want to go through artists that are generally perceived nowadays as bad, fell off, not good. And generally, NF is considered not a great rapper by the hip-hop community, but he is a relatively divisive face, I will say that. Because I didn't realize until I posted my first tweet. I listened to NF this week, if anybody follows me on Twitter, and that's why I'm making this video. And also, I'm making this of that, and also because he dropped a new single with fucking Hopsin last night. Really? Hops? Oh my god, it's so bad. But, I'm making this video because NF is a popular artist right now. He's clearly in album mode. Probably going to make an album called Clouds, if we're being honest. And I was generally like, okay, maybe it'd be good to talk about him, since he's going to become a more popular artist in the coming weeks. So, I thought it'd be good to talk about him, make a video about him. And I also listened to him, so it's fresh in my memory. But NF is generally an artist whom I didn't know was so divisive until I posted my tweet where I said NF is a talented artist whom doesn't use that talent well. That tweet is bound to piss everybody off because I don't know, everybody hates him or loves him. It's crazy because people love him in the same vein they love Juice WRLD. His music is very much, it speaks to people, it's about depression and it really works for them in that vein. People don't like him because he's cringy white boy rapping about the same thing on every song and yelling and screaming at it every time, basically making 4 albums that were basically just what if recovery was boring. That's basically what they see him as. And then the other side sees him as a really emotional, great artist who's speaking his mind and the truth. These two sides are also called I like sound rap more and I like lyrical rap more. Judging by the finals, well, I personally like lyrical rap more. Does that mean I agree with the lyrical rap side? No, because the war in hip hop nowadays is mumble rap a good form of rap? In my opinion, I'm not going to answer that question because I don't think mumble rap exists. Because calling it mumble rap is the most outsider grandpa term for it. Because it's not mumble rap, it's a style. It's called trap music. That's what it is. And for some reason, these freaking fans who sit here and they're like, the greatest rappers of all time are Eminem, Logic, Joyner Lucas, Hopsin, and NF. Those are the top 5, man. That's what they're saying. Only one of which I actually really like. Okay, I think Logic is awesome, but Logic's only awesome because in his last album, he stopped trying to do Eminem and he did his own thing. And that was what made him good. And on Planetary Destruction, that's what made that one good. But I love Eminem, clearly. I have his trilogy right there. You can see the M&Ms right there. He is my favorite rapper because I grew up on him. He's the guy who got me into it. Generally, this type of rap they're basically a bunch of... also, let me break this down. They hate anything that's modern. Even if it's not mumbling at all. Like, even if they don't mumble, like, the rap... Like, even if there's rappers that don't mumble, they'll still call them mumble rappers. Like, they call Drake a mumble rapper. Drake. Whom I wouldn't even call a trapper. He's not... I can see calling, like, Future, Lil Uzi Vert, Playboi Carti, those guys mumble rappers, but it's really a lame term to call a mumble rap. It's so dumb. Then the other side, though, I don't 100% agree with, because I feel like their view often just shuts out anything lyrical in rap, because it's all about the sound. Now it's all about making these hit bangers. And I enjoy some of these guys, right? I enjoy trap. I think it's a fun type of music. But I don't agree with this side. These two cannot agree on NF. Now, they somewhat agree on Eminem. Some of the trap fans hate him, but a lot of trap fans have kind of... The music, I'm going to call it sound trap, or sound rap fans, have kind of come to like Eminem because we all have to agree he's talented. Because generally there is... Okay, I have to admit, this isn't all of hip-hop. There is that middle ground, which I would put myself in, where I just like good rap music. I don't care if it has deep lyrics, and if it does, all the more better, okay? You could be mumbling on your song, and I could really enjoy it, and you could be spitting some straight fact lyrics, and I could enjoy it too. I don't have a preference to one side, in my opinion. I guess I'd prefer lyrical rap, because I would call To Pimp a Butterfly one of the greatest albums ever, partly because of the lyrics, but I'd also say it's one of the greatest because of the production and sound, and the styles that Kendrick brought in on the sound of the album. So I don't know. Generally, I don't really put myself in either category. But for my opinion on NF, to answer the title, and the title, is NF really that bad? He's not terrible. He's not good. And I'll go through all of his albums. These 4 albums, we're talking Mansion, Therapy Session, Perception. Man, I did not realize those 2 rhyme so well. And the final one, The Search. And then he has another one coming soon, which I'll review. So, I wasted a lot of time arguing about which is better, sound rap or lyrical rap. So anyway, let's talk about the polarization himself, NF. Or also an effing clone of Recovery. That was a solid diss. Mansion is the debut record by NF. This is 2015, I think. It's fucking trash, by the way. This album is unlistenable. I hated it so much. It was 12 songs, 48 minutes of aimless, obnoxious music. Production, we'll start on that front, terrible. All of the instrumentals are way too large for NF's vocals to compare to. He fits awfully on most tracks here. Sonically, or let me say lyrically, it is so corny and repetitive because he's just, I'm angry, sad boy. And that's NF, I know. But, like, do something interesting with it. He doesn't for 48 freaking minutes. Overall, I have really not a lot to say on Mansion. Just this album. This album is so aimless. A stormtrooper could... No, I shouldn't. That was a terrible joke. Generally, kind of going on to a different front. I have to admit, I don't like a single song for this album. The other 3 are way better, by the way. I don't like the other 3 very much. but they're way better than this. This is trash. This is actually like worse than Revival. Like, that's how bad. I'm not even like talking about the actual intricates of Mansion because it just sucks. But like Revival had better lyrics, flows, sounds, production. I mean, Revival did have Castle and a Rose, so that kind of brings it up. Mansion has literally nothing to chew on. Yeah, the intro track was the best. Usually on the other NF albums, the intro track has been the worst. This was a disaster. This was the worst debut he could have made. Why? I don't get Therapy Session in the sense that he made the first one. He made Mansion. And generally, if I was listening to rap at that time, I would have thought, okay, NF sucks. He's a terrible rapper. And then he barely changed anything. And it worked really well. Because Therapy Session is a solid album. I'm the hot take right there. This is not a bad record. Now, is it a great album? Not really. Does it have a couple skips? Yeah. But I don't know what it was about this record. I just felt like he didn't go so overboard. Because I will also say Mansion has a lot of metal cuts, which are obnoxious, terrible. But at least on this one, he didn't go so overboard. He kept it a little more conservative. He still kept that angry rap on tracks like Therapy, like the title track, and Real. Very enjoyable tracks for me. I really enjoy that sound from the album. I also have to say that the track How Could You Leave Us is incredible with the pianos, the way he sings the hook, but mainly the verses. Oh my god, they hit like a train. I don't know where this came from. I'm not even fucking. I was in tears at the end of the song. Like, I know I just switched the tone of this video from NF sucks to NF made me cry because of how great his song was. But How Could You Leave Us is an amazing song. If you think NF has no talent, listen to that song. Holy shit, it hits like a train. There are other tracks in this. I really liked Oh Lord, some of the tracks at the end. I feel like he just really focused in more on what he wanted to do, rather than kind of shooting around in the dark like he did on Mansion. There's a lot more enjoyable tracks, better flows, way better production. In general, Therapy Session it's a solid record, you know. It hit the mark. It is probably the best NF record we'll get. Kind of like how Rodeo is the best Travis record we'll get. I'm not saying that Therapy Session and Rodeo are comparable, because they're not. Because Rodeo is like an A, and this is like B+. But still, Therapy Session is probably NF's masterpiece. This was a surprisingly solid album. I might actually go back and play it again. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I thought it was good, you know. This made me for a second think maybe I'll like NF. Perception is really where NF launched into popularity with tracks like Let You Down, which is massive, nearly 1 billion streams. Also Lie, My Life, If You Won't Love. There's a bunch of big hits from this album. And in general, I don't know really where to start by just saying this album is incredibly mid for me. I don't think it sucks. I don't think it's nearly as bad as Mansion, but it definitely felt like Therapy Session turned down a couple notches and it's really just boring at a lot of points. There are a couple really solid tracks. I thought Green Lights was awesome, man. That was a good trap beat and a good flow. He matched with the beat very nicely. Also, No, that was a good track. There was like 100 towards the end, solid track. And, okay, I like Lie, even though I think, like if we're talking about it in terms of a, like, theme idea, it's really cringy. It's basically just a nice guy's anthem. And it's not a nice guy's anthem in the sense that Juice WRLD makes because Juice WRLD doesn't make nice guy anthems. We should stop saying he does, because if you listen to Robbery, it's not from the perspective of a nice guy. And neither is All Girls Are the Same and Lucid Dream. None of them are from a perspective of a nice guy. They're from the perspective of a depressed guy. That's not my point. That's not the point of this video. But my point more is NF plays the character in this song as if he said, "Oh, Karen guy who did everything right. Why can't she love me?" And I'm like, bro, she just don't like you, man. Not just because she called you last night doesn't mean she likes you. But I like the piano. I like the way he sings the hook. I like the way he raps it. So I enjoy the song. It's just sonically, I can't take it seriously. I actually will admit though, I talked about it earlier. "Let You Down" is a bad song. When it was the first NF song I heard, right? Because it's his biggest song. And then I listened to it again for this. Like, I liked it when I first heard it. And then I listened to it again for this album. And I was like, God, what a terribly made song. We talk like the obnoxious chorus. Like that. Those vocals are grating. Then you go to these terribly flowed instrumentals where he's constantly wanting to keep up with the beat, but he can't. And then you have this terrible beat as well, this obnoxious, overbearing beat as well. It's cringy, it's bad, it's so repetitive. It is such a derogatory NF track where he just took everything he always talks about and threw it onto one song. And then you get a trash song that streamed really well. I don't like My Life. I'll go ahead and say it. I think the hook is a little annoying. I think the beat's a little annoying. I think If You Want Love is annoying as well. That sample in the back, not good. Generally, this album I feel like it felt weird to me because I felt like with Therapy Session, so Mansion felt like he was being aggressive and it was to an obnoxious, annoying extent. And then with Therapy Session, he was taking this aggressive stance and it was in an enjoyable sense. I could take it seriously. I could really get down to the themes he was getting at. And then with Perception, he takes a step back from being obnoxious. No, he takes a step back from being aggressive, but what he does instead is he puts his aggression in like worse spots. Like, truthfully, the thing I like about Therapy Session is I feel like every track felt like if he was super passionate on the track, it was dedicated for a reason. Like, there is nothing on Perception that is nearly as dedicated as How Could You Leave Us. There's nothing that dedicated on this album. It's all just cringy breakup songs. That's basically what cringy rap breakup songs. And generally, it was his biggest album, but there's a reason why, because it's easily the most digestible and repetitive NF album. I wasn't really into this one. I feel like this could have been a lot better. He could have done a lot better with this one, and he decided to just kind of throw it out there, I don't know. This album it felt like he took a notch back, and it wasn't really for the better, to be honest. We end NF's discography with his fourth album, The Search, which came out in 2019, so it's the most recent one. Yes, it is. This is an album that I was quite into, actually, at the beginning of it. You use the opening track, solid opening, really great progression, really great flows, really aggressive flows, really great way to just bring us into the sound of the album. As it goes, you get tracks like My Stress, Leave Me Alone, Change, Nate, enjoyable half. The first half of this was enjoyable. I ended up getting too tired in the second half, so I didn't finish in one night. Second night, I actually barely finished it. I was so tired at the end. Not because it was boring, just because I just was tired at the time. It is boring, but that's what my point was going to get to, is that this album could have been good. But here's the problem with this album. First problem is sonically, it is arguably the most repetitive NF album, because it feels like the most repetitive NF album, because something like Perception, which kind of does the same thing multiple times, at least it felt like he was doing new themes on every track. With The Search, it really is just the same cut 20 times. Like 20 times. And it doesn't need to be an hour and 16 minutes at all. It's way too long. And the sonics, I like that he went for a new sound, new sound as that it's not really a new sound. It's kind of the same thing he does. But he kind of took a little bit of a new approach, a little more aggressive, raw approach. And that would have been entertaining, and it was entertaining for 5 or 6 tracks. But once you get down to like 20 tracks of it, man, it gets boring. It starts to become the same cut over and over again. Time is a terrible hit. Time sucks. Terrible track. Towards the end of the album, we just start getting these really like hit, miss, because it felt like he did the same thing over and over again. And this album also made me realize the problem with NF, the big problem with NF. Beyond the fact that he doesn't really have a new style, he's not really doing anything new. He's incredibly repetitive. That's actually, that is the reason. NF's issue with his music is his repetition, because this guy's theme is depression. it's making sad boy music. There's no problem with that, you know? There's no problem with making that. But NF is never going to make a party hit. He's like restricted himself from being able to do that now. He's restricted himself from that, and all of his music now just has to be angry, depressed music that is enjoyable for one album, which was Therapy Session, and the rest of his discography, I'm not thinking anything new at the end of these albums now. I'm just like, whoa, it was the same thing. I'm sad and I'm angry and I don't like my fame. Oh well, NF, what am I supposed to do about it? Like, why am I listening to you rant about it? You already have done this, God, how many tracks? Every NF song follows the same idea. In essence, I'm sad and I'm angry. And The Search is the most repetitive example of that because it's I'm sad and I'm angry 20 freaking times. I don't hate this record. I don't think it's a bad album because I think there's a good half of it I enjoy, but there's also a good half of it I dislike. So The Search is pretty mid for me. I liked it more than Perception, but not on Therapy Session level. So not the best record, NF, not the best one. To kind of wrap this up, NF, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I don't think is really bad by any means, but he's not really good by any means because he's got that talent. I hear it on tracks like How Could You Leave Us, Real, Therapy Session, Green Lights, The Search. I hear it there, but I don't think that aggression and that consistency translates for 4 albums because I don't think he's talented in his own songwriting abilities. His talent is flowing and aggression. That's what he's good at, and it's what made Therapy Session enjoyable. But the problem with his records after that isn't his aggression and flow. In fact, that's what I like about Perception and The Search and Mansion. I don't really like much about Mansion, but what makes them bad albums or not good albums is that there's nothing else to it. It just feels like aggressive tracks, and it just feels like aggressive strat tracks. Weirdly, one of the most aggressive rappers I've heard in a while. Doesn't have an explicit song under his name, but which I will admit I have a tad bit of respect for. Just being a Christian, I have a bit of a respect for him doing that because I respect somebody who just defies the norms for something like religion. I have a little bit of respect for him for that. It doesn't really give me any problems, but overall, I think just NF could be really good. He could be really amazing, but what he's doing is just the same song over and over again, and that's not changing clearly. When I hear the songs like new singles like Paid My Dues, Paid My Dues, Clouds, Lost with frickin' Hobson. Hobson's way worse, by the way. Maybe I'll make a video on Hobson. That just shows to me, okay, we're going to get a new NF record in the next month or so, and it's probably going to be mid. It's not going to be terrible because he's got aggression and flow, so unless he does Mansion again, he's not going to make a terrible album. But surprisingly, he's not going to make a good one either because he's just not hitting the mark anymore for me. I don't think Therapy Session is a display of NF being a good rapper because in a lot of ways, I feel like Therapy Session's a fluke at this point, considering the fact that he hasn't made anything good since. So, yeah. I like Therapy Session, but really that's the only NF record that clicks for me. Everything else, nah, I don't think I'll ever think about Search and Perception again. And Mansion can find its spot on my, top 30 worst albums. So, yeah. NF, to answer the question in the thumbnail, is he good or is he bad? He's good. He's got good flow. He's sometimes got good lyrics when he wants to, but everything I can't call him a really good rapper because if he's not putting out consistent music, he's not really picking great instrumentals, he's making repetitive music and bad albums. Well, I'm not gonna call him a good rapper. So to answer the side of the thumbnail, honestly, he's not the worst rapper out there, but I wouldn't really call him a good one. What do you guys think, though, on NF? Do you guys like his music? Do you guys hate his music? I might get a lot of hate for this video because I praised Therapy Session and I didn't say Perception and The Search were bad. They're not good, but they're not bad. And I didn't say that. I did say Mansion is terrible. So for NF haters, I told you he has one of my worst albums now, but I do like Therapy Session quite a lot. What do you guys think on this list? Let me know in the comment section below. And what do you guys want me to do next on the series? See you guys next time. Bye.